Now, back to your turn on 1330 WEBY, Northwest Florida's talk radio. The phone lines are open, so call in and join the conversation at 623-1330.
You are back. Freedom Friday with Carl Gallups and his special guest and Canadian correspondent, Mike Shoesmith. Now, here's Carl and Mike.
All right, welcome back, Gulf Coast. Welcome back, America. Freedom Friday with Carl Gallups. Mike Shoesmith from Toronto, Canada. Mike, welcome.
Well, hey, keep praying for my voice, everyone. It's getting better all the time, every day. Another week or two, and it should be right up there at 100%. Seems to have been a sort of a walking pneumonia type of thing that. It's just hanging on, and it just doesn't want to let go. I've been resisting using any drugs on it, which is probably why it's taken so long.
Probably so. Last time you were on, your voice went away as you talked, and so a lot of people were very concerned for you. Let me be the first to welcome you to wish you a happy Thanksgiving.
Yes, well done, Carl. Yeah, I wonder how many of our folks down in Florida know that this weekend is Thanksgiving weekend here in Canada, and I think we just kind of borrowed yours, actually, just for an excuse to have a party.
Yeah, probably so. Yeah, well, America has a very rich heritage surrounding Thanksgiving, but if our Canadian cousins up to the north want to borrow it and party a little bit, then we're happy for you. But happy Thanksgiving.
Well, listen, thank you very much for that. And, we're going to fill our bellies with turkey and potatoes and stuff like that. And we do call it Turkey Day up here, by the way. But listen, Carl Gallups Ministries and ppsimmons, we know what's wrong with the world. But you know what? We also know how to fix it. And so I just published an essay to the blog, and it's called, "This is What's Wrong with the American Medical System, and This is How to Fix It." Yeah. So we know what's wrong, and we know how to fix it. Now, try to imagine with me, in the theater of your mind, the North Korean healthcare system as a person.
Okay.
What would it look like with the economy in shambles, the dictatorship holding the world hostage with nukes until they're given free stuff to keep the people from starving to death, right?
Right.
If their healthcare system was represented as a person in your mind, what would the person look like, do you think? I see a feeble old man, barely able to walk, perhaps.
Right.
But now imagine the Canadian healthcare system with its ration services, months-long waiting times to see specialists, emergency rooms packed with cases of minor bumps and infections because they either don't have a family doctor or can't afford the fee charged by doctors under the growing fee-for-services two-tiered system, right?
Right.
I mean, if you could imagine that system as a person, what would it look like? When I think of the Canadian health system, I see Urkel. I see a young and intellectually strong kid with no more physical strength than a dew-worm. I see a health system responsible for killing the people under its care through inability to deliver on its oath and managing costs by euthanizing the end user, all the while running around saying, "Did I do that?" Now imagine the American health system, okay? Now, it's easy for me to do that because I've had major surgery in the United States. I've seen and experienced it, and I know that the capitalist model has given rise to the most amazing life-extending medical system on earth, in the most prosperous nation on earth. However, it is dying, and here's why. Now, the ancient Roman ruler Caligula, he was famous for many unsavory things, right?
Yes, he was.
One of them was the many ways he invented to implement capital punishment. And one of the ways he devised was known as, quote, death by 1,000 cuts.
Right.
And it was a slow death. And the executioner would stab the person repeatedly with a short blade until the person bled to death. And Caligula hoped to witness the person's soul leave the body if the person simply died slowly enough.
Right.
But who is stabbing the American medical system?
Right.
Imagine it in anatomical terms. Now, Carl, I am speaking your language here, brother.
Yes, you are.
The human body consists of several separate systems. One of those is the alimentary system, the one that allows you to eat and digest and eliminate food, right?
Right.
Another is your respiratory system. You breathe in, your lungs take oxygen from the air, and enriches your blood with it, right?
Right.
I'm right about that, right?
Yes, you're right.
Okay, Dr. Gallups confirms it.
Yes, Dr. Gallups.
If there was a total breach, Carl, of the dividers which keep those two systems separate within the body, you will die. No ifs, ands, or buts, right?
Right.
If the alimentary system breaches the barrier that separates it from the respiratory system, it kills you, right?
That's correct.
Okay. Now, the two systems share certain dynamics. For instance, the alimentary system is full of bacteria, right? Some of it is harmful, but most of it is beneficial. From your mouth clear on down to your rear end is one long train of bacteria, baby.
Yeah.
Now, the lungs, they also have bacteria. Now, they're healthy little bugs which assist in lung function, though in a much smaller amounts, right?
Right.
Now, imagine the alimentary system of the human body as the American legal system. Shouldn't be very difficult, right? Now, imagine the healthcare system as the American medical system, or rather the respiratory system as the American medical system. Early on, the main concern of the medical system in America was providing the very best care in the world with the best trained and best paid doctors in the world, right? Every once in a while, a doctor was found to be grossly negligent and was charged and sued, and that was all great, right? I mean, people were held accountable. The legal system got to periodically infiltrate and have shared dynamics with the medical system, just like we see happening with the respiratory system and the alimentary system. And rarely they would share something in common, but one day somebody saw the potential for a payday. And early on, we called them ambulance chasers. You remember that?
Right. Oh, yeah.
And they garnered very little respect, and they were not taken very seriously. But little by little, Carl, after thousands of tiny little cuts, they began to take over the medical system. And mistakes by hospital staff, whether real or contrived, turned into judgments worth millions of dollars. And eventually, hospitals were forced to hire legal staff to thwart the possibility of legal liability. And now the hospitals are forced to charge enormous amounts of money for procedures they just pay for their lawyers and liability insurance. And at those costs have gone up, so has the cost of insurance.
Right.
So high that vast numbers of people can't afford it.
Right.
The two systems, which should never have been allowed to mix, have become integrated into a soupy mixture of expensive paydays, and the common man has been left out to die. Now, the answer here is not to force everyone to purchase a product, i.e. health insurance. This has made Obama into a dictator. Think about that. The President of the United States is forcing everyone to buy a product.
Right.
And you're going to say, well, it's no different than buying car insurance. Well, nobody has to buy car insurance.
Right.
You can simply opt out of driving, but you cannot opt out of life. Well, you can. I suppose you can kill yourself, but essentially he's become a dictator on this one point alone.
Right.
There are other points that we can look at, but on this point alone, Barack Obama is dictating that every person in the country buy this product. It's an amazing thing. But the answer to this is a two-word answer. It's tort reform. You have to separate the two systems again so they can once again function cleanly and efficiently. Until that happens, the poop will dominate and destroy the lungs until the entire body is dead. And I hate to say it, but really, it really is true, It's time to put a few lawyers out of business. If we really want to save the best medical system on earth, Carl, if Obama is allowed to continue, this patient is a goner, brother.
Right.
I mean, if we don't get a grip on, if the Americans don't get a grip on the tort law in the United States, the tort law is just another fancy word for the legal system, then they will legal themselves into socialized medicine. Now, Obama is tackling this the wrong way. The right way, Obama's a lawyer, right?
Right.
And his wife's a lawyer, his friends are all lawyers. So do they really want to look at this the proper way and say, look, this thing is being killed by 1,000 cuts by lawyers?
Right.
And if you want to bring the cost of insurance down, you've got to bring the cost of doing this down, and it begins with tort reform. What do you think?
Yeah. No, listen, I agree with you. I've read your article, and I'm listening to you analyze this scenario, and I'm with you. And that's just the beginning of the ills if we put this man back in for another 4 years. That's just the beginning. But if we do, then Obamacare will come to fruition, and it has been announced and made quite clear that in the year 2013 is when the bulk of these expenses and taxes will hit us. And you talk about buyer's remorse, you talk about voters' remorse, but it'll be too late then.
Yeah, well, then we really are looking at death panels. We're looking at euthanizing the end user, because therein lies the only dynamic of this that is controllable, is how long do we let people live?
Yeah.
And Sarah Palin's right. The death panels are the only way to control the cost if Obamacare is implemented.
Right.
Hey, listen, guys, thanks for praying for me. My voice is getting better, and I look forward to next week. And, happy Thanksgiving out there, Canada. We have some Canadian listeners there, and God bless you guys. We'll talk to you next week.
Thank you, Mike Shoesmith. God bless you. Folks, you're listening to Freedom Friday with Carl Gallups. That's Mike Shoesmith, our Toronto, Canada correspondent. And listen, you can pick up everything about him at carlgallups.com. Go to the Freedom Friday block, click on him, or go to the P.P. Simmons blog spot. Start from there. Facebook, P.P. Simmons YouTube. He's the executive director of that huge, mega viral, worldwide site and ministry. All right, folks, we'll be back after this brief timeout. Jeff Cooner coming up with you. Freedom Friday, Carl Gallups.